I I've struggled with an idea for a while, and it's how like everybody. This sounds so dumb. Just hold on. Give me a second. But it is crazy that everybody is a person. What I mean by that is when you're like a little kid and you just living your life, you know, you go to school and then you go home and then sometimes you play with your friends and sometimes you stay in and you watch cartoons. You know that you have a life. You know that you're a whole person, even if you don't have a full awareness of yourself. You know that you go to different places and you do different things. Even when you have a new experience, it doesn't even occur to you to be like, oh no, I don't do that. Because you're a kid just experiencing the world. But there are boxes that we put people in. I think it's completely unintentional. I don't think there's any malice behind it. But I remember the first time that I realized that someone who I definitely cared about and I definitely enjoyed their company and I definitely liked was a whole other person. I was a little kid. I was with my mom at the grocery store and we saw my teacher. And I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like, I said it out loud. I said it to her. Why aren't you at school? If you're here, then whose? It was a crazy thing in my head. My brain was breaking in that moment. I'm this little kid. I've only ever seen her at school. She's supposed to be at school. I shouldn't see her if I'm not at school. And she's over here buying groceries. I was like, you eat groceries? This is wild. And then she was over here having a conversation with my mom. They both ignored me asking why she wasn't at school. I still had questions. And then she, said she'd see us on Monday and walked away. And in my head, I was like, Monday? It's Saturday. She's not even gonna be at school tomorrow. Blew my mind that one of my favorite teachers had like a house. And like, I'd always heard about her husband, but I thought that's just something teachers say to like pass the time and stuff. She had a whole life. And it feels like a silly lesson to learn when you're a kid, and then you get older and you realize you have to keep relearning it over and over again because you meet more and more people and you've already boxed them in. And then they surprise you and then you think, oh, I'm a little ashamed I was even surprised. I should know from when I was like 6 that people are like, everybody's a person. But it's an easy lesson to forget because you can only sometimes see a person in a certain way, Like my friend, I have a couple friends now who they've got drunk with their parents, and it's a boundary that some people never break with their parents. Sometimes their parents are like, oh, I'm gonna have a couple drinks, but I'm not gonna be drunk in front of my son, you know what I mean? And then there are people who will always have that thing of like, oh, I don't want to be drunk in front of my parent. You know what I mean? It's like weird. I feel like I'd be in trouble. It's like, well, you're 42. Yeah, but still. I don't know. I don't want my mom to see me drunk. It's like, well, she saw you at your worst as a baby. I guarantee you drunk just brings you like one step above baby. But it was an interesting thing. My friend said that he got had a couple drinks with his dad. Now his dad was a sort of interesting case because when he was a kid, I don't know all the details, but his dad drank. And then there was something, whether it was something that happened or just like a general attitude towards drinking. At one point, his dad was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna drink anymore. And he went like cold turkey sober for years and years and years, right? So he drank pretty heavily when my buddy was a kid, didn't drink until he was long out of the house. And it wasn't until after my buddy graduated college that his dad would like drink once in a while, you know, have a drink with him. And finally, one day, his dad was like drunk with him. And he noticed his dad like drunk. And he was like, it's crazy because I know my dad used to drink. And I can only see my dad as my dad. So knowing my dad is like an annoying drunk. I don't know. I guess I forgot he could be a whole person. Like, because his dad had this weird, like, rivalry with him when he was drunk. He, you know, walk up to him, impromptu, off of nothing. They're in the backyard. And he's like, hey, you know, looking good, young man, looking strong, looking tough. Looking tough. I mean, you looking real strong. You know, what? You think you're stronger than me? What? I mean, no. Do you think you're stronger than me? We should race. You want to race? And he knows that a foot race with his dad sober wouldn't even be a contest. So he's like, nah, Dad, I'm good. He's like, no, come on. You know, if you're scared, say so. If you're scared, say so. If you're scared, the old man still got it. If you're scared, say so. Said he made it into one of the most annoying songs he had ever heard in his life. Just until he would raise him, if you're scared, say so. And finally, he's like, all right, look, we'll race, fine. And he thinks if he stands up, his dad might just forget, you know, because he's at that level of drunk where he's on a mission, but not a mission he has to complete. Y'all know that mission. It's one of my favorite missions to watch people have on like a night out. You know, especially with like, but one of my favorite side quests in any night out that a bunch of ladies are having is finding one of their phones. One phone will go missing, and it will be the biggest deal in the world for 12 minutes. And then the person whose phone is missing will be like, let's just dance. It's like, all right, but you should go get your phone though. Like, you do need to call an Uber at some point and get home, like, we need your phone. It's like, yeah, but like later, like, I don't know, it's just like, I don't even care. It's like, this is my song. And then it resets, because then like several songs later, it'll be like, yeah, you look so good. I'm gonna take a picture of you. Oh my God, everybody stop. Everybody stop. Not their friends, everybody in the club stop. Everybody stop. And so this dude stands up thinking like his dad's about to be over it anyway. And he's like, Dad, I really don't want to, like, we're having a good time. Like, let's just chill out. And his dad goes, no, race me. And he's like, all right, fine, okay. So they line up. And he's not really gonna race his dad. He's gonna like walk and let his dad win so he can feel good about being annoying for 15 minutes. But his dad stands up and he's ready. You ever see somebody look at a finish line like it's moving? Like, and then he said, He said, all right, you ready? And they had already decided that his mom would say when to go. And so she said, go. And my buddy didn't even go. His dad took 3 steps and crashed into the patio table. And I don't know, yeah, it's gotta be tough. That's a moment that's like, you just know that now. You know your dad your whole life, and then now you're like, oh yeah, but like after the 5th Jameson, he will. You know. And that changes how you look at your dad a little bit, not even in the form of judgment, just like there's more information, and you see him as like a whole person. You know good, you know bad, you know arguing with him, you know, and now you know this thing that you didn't really experience in the same way when you were a kid. Now you know. Even 4 Jamesons in, he's gonna go, no. Oh. Like I don't know if it's possible to remind yourself every time, every day, that a person is like a whole person. Because we are so distant. Person to person. Like when you meet someone that you've maybe heard about, you can only go off your impression. That impression is colored by whoever told you about this person. And it's hard to remember. I try to remind myself all the time that like, we're meeting this person. Nothing nice has been said. But I'm sure they have a dog. I don't know, like some redeeming quality. You try to approach it like that. And, you know, I fail at it a lot. You know, sometimes I let, whether it's gossip or just like a preconceived notion, take over. And then you end up being friends with this person. And you feel even worse because you're like, ooh, I judged you so harshly when we met. You know, some of my best friends, when I met them, hated their guts. I hated because I was just like, oh, just look at his face. One of my best friends from college, when we met, us meeting was me asking him for a pencil and him going, what? And so I just turned back around. I was like, all right, jerk. Turns out he just didn't hear me. We're like really good friends now, but yeah, that was not a great way to start. One of my best friends, we had that same thing. So he's a big dude. He's like 6'4", 6'5", like a strong guy, wide guy, right? Big dude. And we were both friends with a different guy. This is freshman year of college. And we had both done things in front of each other that made us go like, I don't know if I like that guy. Like I like our mutual friend, but I don't know if I like him. And then we kept being in scenarios where maybe we were waiting for our mutual friend, so we were left alone with each other. And in my head, maybe it's because of where I come from, and maybe it's because I've never been the biggest guy in the room, but this is a big old dude, and he doesn't seem like he liked me. So in my head, I was like, I just gotta act crazy. Like if I'm crazy, that'll keep at bay his size. Because even a big man doesn't want to get bit. You know what I mean? I don't care how big or strong you are. Once everybody saw what Mike Tyson did to Evander Holyfield, they were like, oh yeah, crazy wins. Crazy will always win. I like my whole ear where it is. And then he noticed me being crazy. And so he was like, all right, I'm gonna have to flex how big I am. There was one time where we were waiting on our mutual friend because, forgot to mention earlier, our mutual friend was his roommate. So I had to be in their room a bunch before we actually got along. And I don't know, I saw him like eyeing me, and this is a college dorm room. So there's not a lot of space. So I'm like, this big guy's eyeing me. We're both waiting for our friend. So then I didn't know what to do. So I just started singing lyrics to Kanye West's 808 on a Heartbreak. No music, impromptu. And lyrics I chose were, when I grab your neck, I touch your soul. And I just sang it to the wall, but loud enough for him to hear me. And I would later find out that when I did that, he was like, all right, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. In my entire life, I was trying to mug this dude into submission, but now he sang to the wall, not even facing anything. I don't know what he talking about. Why'd he sing it too? That's crazy. That's crazy as hell. It's so much crazier to sing than it is to scream. Like if you come across somebody on the street and they scream it, you're like, all right, that's regular. If they are singing lyrics you don't know exist yet, because the album had just come out, if they're singing lyrics you don't know exist yet, get away. And so he was like, I gotta do something. I've got to do something. And the thing that he decided to do was we both got a text from our mutual friend that it would be quicker for us to meet him where he was than wait for him to come back and us head out together. And so we decided to head out together. And while I'm in the hallway, it's a long hallway from the dorm room to the end of the suite. And when I'm in the hallway, I go, ah. And he says, what? And I'm like, I think a mosquito bit me. And I was being completely sincere in this moment. I started itching. I was like, what? And he's like, what happened? I think a mosquito bit me. And then he stands extra tall, every bit of 6'5", lets his eyes dart around the hallway and goes, you hurt my friend! And then he punched the wall as hard as he could. And when he moved his fist from the wall, there was a dead mosquito. And I was like, oh Lord, he big and crazy. Oh, I'm sick. Oh. And then we became best friends. We became best friends because we got to know each other. We got to know each other, and I got to know him as a whole person. I got to know how cool he was, how sincere he is, that he would do anything for his friends, including that mosquito thing. And he got to know me, and he still liked me. So we became best friends because I got to see like the whole person, you know? And then finally one day I told him about it. I was like, hey, you know, freshman year, because when we were juniors, we became roommates. And I told him, like, hey, I just want to get something off my chest. Freshman year, when I was in the room with you and I just started singing. I was just trying to be crazy because I thought like you were real big and like, I don't know, I had been bullied a lot, so I was just trying to like keep you at bay. And he was like, oh, that's so good to know. Which means in the time that we had become friends, he still thought like, no, that's what he does though. Like that's who he is as a person. I was like, that's so good to know, because honestly, I was wondering what I'd have to do. I thought you were genuinely crazy. And that's why I punched that wall. When I moved my hand, I couldn't believe the mosquito had actually... Wild stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's tough sometimes accepting that someone was like a whole person. Because it is easier. If someone sucks, it's easier to just, you know, lean on exactly what you know, and that's enough for you, and they suck, and that's the end of it. It's not necessary in your mind to get down to the deeper root of the issue about why they might be the way they are. Whatever. They suck, and I'm done talking about them. You know? Like when I think about some of the most powerful people in the world. I think that way all the time. I forget that it's like a whole person because they suck. They suck so much. Like, I do my best to not be closed-minded about people. But the more I learn, the worse it gets. And no person is just one thing. Even monsters. Some monsters that get true crime documentaries made about them. They'll interview the kids. And sometimes the kids will be like, yeah, actually, he was like a super present father and everything. Like, it was kind of crazy. I know he killed all those people, but he came to all my soccer games. Like, it's a lot to process. No. Like, I don't know what makes a person. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what makes a person the way that they are. I just have guesses. Sometimes my guesses are good, and I get to have a conversation with the person and see that I was kind of close. And then sometimes my guesses are totally off base because I don't have their mind. I can't act like I know why someone is the way that they are. I know for certain because of the people that I've been around. I know that sometimes when you grow up with real money, real privilege, it can be very difficult unless you are like delusional enough to accept the position you're in as anything more than like the randomness of who is born to who. It's very difficult to feel like you've made or earned anything yourself. If you are just born into billions, you see that's one of the reasons these people have to like make their mark on the world to prove that they're not just like some accident. Because within those families sometimes, and like, look, I'm not acting like I know billionaires. I know millionaires. And it's a little similar, but at the same time, there are some millionaires that are barely millionaires, so they still acting like they're middle class. Even though they're millionaires, it's actually pretty sad. And then there are people that are like multimillionaires, and I don't even really know that many multimillionaires, but I know those people have at least accepted their position as people with like wealth and privilege, right? I don't know any billionaires. But I do know the people that I am friends with that work with like truly insane net worth individuals have said things like, at a certain amount of money, it's not even money anymore. It's just you moving your will throughout the world. And that is how people with that much money think. And so if you are like a child born into this thing, especially if you don't take to it the way that we imagine people will take to it, because remember, a person is a whole person, but a lot of people will have a kid and have an idea of a child before the child is ever there. And then that idea of a child is exactly what this whole person has to be, or else they're a disappointment, or else they're a failure, right? I had the idea of you before you were ever here. And the idea of you that I had was, we play these sports together. I teach you to do this thing. We go to these things. You love the stuff that I love. Those are the hopes of like every parent. Every parent wants to share the things that they love with their kid, and hopefully the kid loves them too. Because as much as you love your sports team, as much as you love your favorite hobby, it'd be so much more enjoyable if the person you love the most loved it too. A lot of people have those hopes. That's common, that's normal. But this like world of wealth, they have an idea of maybe building a legacy, building an empire, and now whoever comes, whatever this child is, they will be someone who can uphold, build up, maintain the empire that I built. They're not having like a child, they're having a vessel to continue their wealth into the future. And that's got to be difficult to grow up in, because yes, you have all this money, you have all this privilege, you have access to all these different things, but there's a person looking at you like you don't even deserve to be here. And then there's everybody else that if you tried to tell them how it felt, they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry I couldn't hear you through all that money. You know? Cry me a river. You ever felt a penny before? And so you see people really trying to exercise out all of this trauma in a way where they still move their will throughout the world. So then we become the collateral damage of them trying to exorcise demons, because they have the access to change the world the way that they see fit. And that leaves us in a very dangerous position. And I don't know exactly how to fix that, what to do about that, but I do know it presents itself in like little moments. Small moments where you can see, oh, this is like a kid. This is like a hurt kid. You know? Most powerful man in the world. Incredibly rich, billionaire. But this is a kid. This is a scared kid. This is a hurt kid. This is an angry kid. And I'm not saying that takes away all the damage, all the things that are being created by what this kid is doing. But like, I see you differently now. Like, in theory, I should be scared of you. I should be worried about what your next move is going to be. I should be worried if you're going to send someone to hurt me or my family, because you could do that. You're a very powerful person. But then things happen, and I see you react like a kid. And it's weird to see you as a whole person, you know? Like, I'm not going to, how do I put this? I could tell Trump was hurt by that South Park episode because the White House released a statement There are school shootings where the White House doesn't release a statement. The White House released a statement. They were like, hey, look, South Park hadn't been relevant for a while now anyway. Nobody even watched. Ain't nobody crying. Nobody hurt. No. Like, I've watched, I watched Trump go to the Fed. He went to the Fed and he was with Jerome Powell. Now, Donald Trump put Jerome Powell in that position, all right? Donald Trump made Jerome Powell Fed chair, right? And now Donald Trump can't stand Jerome Powell and doesn't know who appointed him. And so he goes to the Fed. I guess they showing him where they make the money, shred the money. I don't know why he needed to go. He goes on a field trip to the Fed. You know, this is a very funny thing about Donald Trump. He has been very rich his entire life, but he still acts like new money. I have expected Trump to see the money being printed in front of him and go, but this dude he's at the Fed with Jerome Powell, and look, you can say numbers. You can say numbers in whatever order you want. No, you can say numbers and he can say more numbers. You can say numbers, that's your right to say numbers however you see fit. Whatever numbers you like, you can say them in 4, 3, 3, 4. You can do whatever you want. Numbers are there for you to play with. Numbers serve at your pleasure, right? Say whatever numbers you want in whatever order you want, whenever you want. That will not make it math. And so Trump is talking to the media, and he just like throwing out numbers. He's saying numbers, right? He's numbers, good numbers, and some bad numbers. Let's get those bad numbers out of there. Good numbers, more numbers, extra numbers, right? And quickly, almost immediately, Jerome Powell is standing off to the side, and he goes, oh, Jerome Powell was shaking his head. You know those people who got like perfect pitch? Jerome Powell was shaking his head like somebody with perfect pitch going to karaoke. Like it's And look, this is not something that happens often. No, Trump's used to talking, and when he talks, people either nod or they stay quiet. And we saw this in spectacular fashion in like 2020. Because he would stand up there, and then the people next to him, the people behind him, sometimes you catch them being like, huh? Like they were still trying to process what he said. But then he would just be talking. And sometimes he'd even turn to them, look for some confirmation. What do you think about that? And then they would be like, we'll have to check. I've never had the taste of bleach in my mouth, but I suppose anything's possible. These experts, these doctors, these people, they weren't doing the thing that they should have been doing, which was Because he didn't just shake his head. He said it. He said it out loud. No, no, no. No, no. No, no. Maybe we wouldn't be in this position if more people, and I'm not even talking about politicians right now, I mean more people, more people who have to deal with government had the courage to say, no, no, that's not how medicine works, no, that's not science, no, that's not English, no, no. A simple no is powerful, you know? And so sure enough, Trump hates Jerome Powell. Trump hates Jerome. Oh, he hates Jerome. Oh. Trump hates Jerome. Trump hates Jerome. Like, let Jerome. Trump hates Jerome Powell, so he hate him so good. Trump hates Jerome Powell so much, he did something he never does. He did something we haven't seen him do. Either time he's been president, he did something I didn't even think he was capable to do. Trump hates Jerome Powell so much. Through his teeth, he hate him. He hate him so much that Donald Trump did homework. Because he was saying the numbers, and he was saying the numbers, and he was saying the numbers, he was saying the numbers. And then Jerome Powell went, no, no, no. And even Tim Scott was next to Trump, nodding and saying yes, while he was saying no. Yes, with those big teeth, saying yes, 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 swinging those teeth, yes, yes. But Donald Trump heard Jerome Powell's no, and it was almost like he had practiced this. He was ready. He hates Jerome Powell so much. Ooh, he hates him. Ooh, he hate him. And so he goes, huh? What? No. Oh, well, I have the paper right here. And then Donald Trump pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to Jerome Powell like it was checkmate. I had never seen this man prepared in his life. Usually, when Trump has a chart or a piece of paper, it's because he already has a point he's trying to make and he's just using that to illustrate. Trump has never had a Trump card. This man pulled out the piece of paper. You could see even Jerome was surprised. He was like, paper? Reading? You saw Jerome had to break out the glasses for it. He was like, oh. And because numbers are numbers, because math is at least something that, even if you have bias, even if you have an intention towards an intended goal, the math will still make sense or not make sense. Something will be true or not true, right? And so even Jerome Powell, I'm not saying I know this man, I'm not saying he's infallible, but in this moment I'm thinking maybe he's even thinking, whoa, what if I'm wrong here? What if there's something I don't know about? The president just pulled a piece of paper out as soon as I started saying no, like he rehearsed this. So he takes the piece of paper, throws the glasses on, and you can see him reading it. You can watch the clip. And he goes, no, this old, no. What a month, you know? This is a lot has happened.
Taylor Swift's album dropped. And OJ died. White women are having a month. This is... Wow, this month is for you specific. The two best things that could happen happened for you. Wow. You'd think this month was really named after a white woman named April. Like, incredible. Nah, Taylor Swift is breaking so many records. Like, I'm sure she's breaking them now as I'm speaking. She released her album, it hits 300 million streams in the first 12 hours. It's like, never happened before, ever. And people are freaking out about reading into the lyrics of every song. There's like scavenger hunts, there's everything. And this is the thing for me with Taylor. A lot of people trash Taylor, and I don't know, I don't get it. If somebody likes something, let them have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it brings people joy. It's not hurting anybody, except maybe Taylor's exes. It's hurting nobody. Like, people are having a good time and stuff. If anything, I hope it makes the world a bit more compassionate, you know? There are a lot of people that like Taylor, and the people that don't get it. But I hope that the people that like Taylor will be able to give some grace, because I think that Taylor Swift, she does for her fans what wrestling does for dudes. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you're not a wrestling fan, you're like, what are they even doing? Why are they moving all stupid? It's just... But if you get it, you're in it. And you're like, you just don't get it. You weren't there, you know? But they're very similar, you know? If you don't like it, you don't get it. And you're like, who likes this? And it turns out the answer to both is millions of people. You know? Same way that there are a lot of little girls and young women out there that want to be Taylor Swift, or older women that see themselves in Taylor Swift. I think every man in here has looked at a wrestler and... Every man in here has watched some wrestling at some point and then walked away like, I wish somebody would f with me. Like, I wish... I would just... There are people that listen to Taylor Swift songs and feel it, like truly feel, like in their bones you can tell they feel the song. It speaks to them in a deep way, and they've never been in a relationship at all. Like Taylor's describing her breakup in an exquisite fashion, but then a person who's never been through anything is like, oh my God, yes, yes. It's just like that time this other totally unrelated thing happened to me, yes. Same thing with wrestling, you know? Wrestling storylines will tear you up. You know? Like when a wrestler turns heel and he turns on all his friends. Guys watch that and we're like, just like Greg. Triple H, he really evil. Oh. I didn't grow up with money. I think it's funny when people make a lot of money and they're known as new money, you know? And people how they feel how they feel about it. You know, like a lot of athletes are new money, a lot of entertainers are new money and everything. But nobody ever talks about new poor. We never talk about new poor, and we don't feel bad for new poor. A new money backstory is always inspiring. It's always like, I came from nothing, and I studied hard, and I played football to the best of my ability, and then I got a scholarship. Got a scholarship to a good school, a scout school. And then I played every day like the scout was there every day. I put my body on the line, and I still studied as hard as possible in case football didn't work out. But you know what? I had a great game in front of a scout. They brought me out. Next thing I know, I'm getting drafted. And now I'm one of the top earners in the NFL. We love a story like that because it felt like all you really needed was to do your best, and you could make something out of that. So we love new money. But nobody ever talks about new poor. Not only do we not talk about Newport, we don't really feel bad for Newport. Yeah, but you ever hear a Newport story where it's like, oh, we've actually, as a family, we were kind of a dynasty. We were rich for 250 years because we owned a lot of farms. Yeah, we owned a lot of farms, and we were big in tobacco, and so as the farming industry lended itself to a more industrial tobacco industry, we profited, and it was my great-great-grandfather that actually sold his shares in the tobacco company, and he had other ventures that he wanted to go into, and he had some sons, but only one of the sons really had kids, and so all the wealth just kept getting consolidated. Less and less people had kids, so then it was all down to Trent. And Trent took some big swings with crypto, and it didn't go as planned. And so that's why Trent is working at this Piggly Wiggly. And why he's not a very good sweeper. He doesn't really understand the broom needs to touch the ground. He just... It is genuinely hilarious watching someone rich try to do a job. It's a little disheartening, but you're also like, look at him go. Oh, I remember my first experience with Newport was a kid in my neighborhood. I didn't always live at the best neighborhoods. I'll put it like that. And there was a kid when I was little that moved in, and you could tell he was Newport. We were playing. I think we were just playing in like this lot, and he walked up to us, and he had just moved in with his parents, and you could tell he was Newport because his name. You could tell he was Newport because his name was Thurston. And I remember when he said it, and there's a thing with kids where, for whatever reason, and it just is what it is. Sometimes kids take a certain shine to each other, or they don't like each other, or whatever. But we liked him as soon as we met him. We just really did, and he was so earnest. He's a sweet kid, and so we were just like, you can play with us. We don't care. And we didn't even really have a concept of money in that way to look at him sideways, right? We were all just kids. But when he said that his name was Thurston, I was kind of like, ooh. That's the most punchable name I've ever heard in my life. So, look, I tell you what, we gonna call you 30. And if anybody asks why, just say you did something real bad 30 times. And so we used to love hanging out with 30. And 30 was Newport because his family had been rich for a long time. They probably owned a few farms. But 30's dad lost it all in the .com bubble. I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you don't know anything about it, back in the day when the internet was very new, a lot of companies were like adding these online sides to their brick and mortar stores, which was obviously super profitable for some businesses, and for some businesses it didn't matter at all because it was about the infrastructure of being able to send everything. But we didn't know that initially, so there were some companies whose stock price went up just because they had a website. And then it all came crashing down when people started looking for returns on these incredible stock prices, but most of these companies just had like a website with a broken link. And so, you know, you couldn't pull your money out fast enough, and 30's dad didn't pull his money out at all. So they moved in next to us. And we take walks and stuff. We like walk around neighborhood once in a while and everything. And there was a dog. There was a dog that was in the yard of one of our neighbors way down the street. And this dog was a big dog, and he had like a big thick collar, and he had a chain that he would wear, and the chain had some length to it, and the chain was around the tree. And you know, 30, he hated it. He hated every time he saw it. It made him sick that there was a dog that was outside chained up against a tree. It didn't matter how much room he had to run around and stuff. He just didn't like the concept. And he'd bring it up. Every time we passed by, he's like, they got that dog chained to the tree like some kind of animal. And I was like, yeah, 30. Crazy stuff. And look, I'm not even saying that is right. I'm just saying it was a very big dog. Like it was, like every time 30 would like protest that he want to go over there, he's like, I just want to like let him free. You should be able to run around. I was like, all right, but okay, listen. At that house, they live with that dog, so they probably know something we don't. Maybe they tried the whole freedom thing out. Maybe they used to have 2 dogs. That's a big ass dog. Maybe I'm not saying you have to love it. I'm not saying it's not wrong. I'm just saying that they may have tried other things. Maybe they tried making them inside dog. Maybe they used to have more family members. So you see what I'm saying? And there was one day where we were walking down the street together, and he peeled off from us, and he did it without saying anything, because I knew that he knew if he said something, we would try to stop him. But he just started walking over towards that house, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure that's a dog from the Sandlot. So you really don't need to be playing games. Don't go over there, right? And then even as we saw him peel, we were like, 30, where you going? 30, where you doing? 30. Started saying it slow like it was his real name. 30! Get back over here. And this kid climbed the fence, jumped over, and the dog is like laying down, but he's not asleep, but he's just sort of laying in the grass. And 30 jumped over the fence, ran over to the chain, and the chain had no lock. It was just wrapped. And so 30 pulled it a little bit, released the slack from the end of that chain, and the whole chain just drops to the ground. And now the dog has not been moving. The dog's just sort of laying there. But the dog heard the chain drop, and he felt the slack release on his collar. And the dog turned around and looked at 30, and even the dog was like, are you sure? You must be new poor. And so the dog turns around, and he just, I don't know, just, you know, like when an animal is made of muscle? When they just have like phenomenal National Geographic level power? This dog whipped around and just started charging at 30, right? Now 30, in his very sweet mind, he thinks that this dog is bounding towards him for a hug. And so he actually starts to bend down and open his arms. He's just getting a wide stance. Now the dog, because the chain did have a ton of length to it. I want to be clear, this dog wasn't wrapped up against a tree like some Tom and Jerry cartoon. This dog actually was bounding for a while, and he was bounding so fast that like it was either all 4 feet touching the ground or nothing. Like the dog was like this or he was like this. I've never seen a dog float like that. Like the dog is coming at him like a bullet. And from where we were standing, by the way, all of us had been yelling run. We've been yelling run since we saw that the chain had no lock on it. And so then you see 30, just arms open. But even he started to be like, huh. I've never seen this sort of reaction from a young pup before. And the dog is bounding towards him. And as it starts to really get close, 30 immediately just turns around and starts to run. But his wires are so crossed, he's still in the crab stance. So he's like, ah! And he grabs the fence and he climbs up the fence. He climbs up the fence so fast that he doesn't even try to get over the other side. He just slams to the ground on the other side. And he gets up and he dusts himself off. And he walks up to us. And I'm like, I told you that was the dog from the Sandlot. Why would you go over there? It's your new poor ass.
Cool. How y'all doing? Everybody good? Oh, sweet, sweet. This has been a terrifying night so far for me.
How are you gonna follow that up?
Oh, how am I gonna follow her? Oh, no, just kidding. What? No, you wanted to talk, so I'm just giving you the floor. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
You sure?
You're the comedian. Sorry.
No, you just made it weird for everyone. Do you do this all the time? Is this your job? Did I fuck up? I'm sorry. You usually just go to places and make it weird. Do you knock on windows during people's sex? Just, hey, how you gonna follow her ex? What the fuck? Like I said, nothing but weird stuff has happened to me tonight. It has been completely jarring. Because a lot of people are celebrating Halloween tonight, which in New York is a horrible idea. This city is not made for Halloween because it is too difficult to distinguish the people celebrating and the real crackheads. That's... You know what I mean? I be letting people get close. You asking questions, this is devastating. I saw a dude with, I don't know what's outfits and what's not. I saw a dude with pants, but just one leg. He had a pant. Like an actual, but you see what I mean, right? One leg naked and the other leg business casual, right? One side I'm going somewhere, one side booty shorts. It's insane. Half of him is dressed for the apocalypse and the rest is present day. And he was just acting like it was nothing. I was like, maybe it's a choice. I have no idea. I saw one dude who was just in pajamas, but he didn't have any socks or shoes on. And he was by himself sucking his thumb. I was like, I think that this one is crazy. I think, am I crazy? That one feels different. He not hanging out with anybody, you know what I mean? If him and his boys were all sucking thumbs together, I'd be like, all right, they a group of oddballs. But my man just by himself going, when the train coming? Ugh. No. There was a guy that sat next to me when I was on the train. So he has this like blood thing, you know, across the forehead, and it's trickling down and stuff. And he starts the conversation just normal, and he was asking me to make sure he was on the way to 34th Street, right? And it's like, it's Halloween, so it's supposed to be okay for someone who's covered in blood to just ask you for directions. It's like, I would be weird if I was like, oh, because then that's me not understanding it's a holiday, right? And then, and so I tell him, like, yeah, we're on the way. We're headed into the city, so you're going to hit 34th Street if you just stay on a few more stops. And by the way, I think that this is so cool. Like, I've never seen anybody get it that detailed. And he was like, oh, no, I'm going as Jim Halper. This is, I got in a fight with a nigga on the way to the train. All right, if you say so. Oh, that's my thing. I think my only way of telling, which maybe this isn't fair, but my only way of telling who's crazy and who's in costume is by the number of costumes. So if somebody in one costume, that's a regular person. You know what I mean? If somebody's in two costumes at the same time, that's a kid. That's a kid who couldn't make up his mind. He's like, I want to be Batman and Elsa. It's like, all right, cool, yeah. That's okay. All right, we'll get you half Batman, like Batman up top, Elsa bottom, I guess. I don't know. But if they're wearing 7, that is mental illness. That's happening the rest of the year, too. You know what I mean? If they look like Spider-Man and they just got fairy wings on the back of their head and they got Thanos wrists, it's like, all right, you're doing a lot. Just watch them. You know what I mean? Oh. This is also the worst night in New York to get robbed. Because it's the one night where you could give the most accurate description that make you sound crazy. You know what I mean? You know, if I got robbed tonight, I was like, okay, so Minnie Mouse and Captain America went that way, all right? If you turn the corner, you can still catch them. I had a conversation with my uncle. My uncle got in an argument with his girlfriend. My uncle still has girlfriends because he didn't have his life together. So I'm just saying, my man needs to settle down or settle up, you know? Like, it's odd. But they got an argument because they were watching a movie. And in the movie, the couple that the movie is about, towards the end of the movie, they've been married for 60 years, and then she dies. And then within a week, he dies. But he didn't have any pre-existing conditions, so he just died of old age and clearly of grief, right? Right? And then she did the same thing. She turns to my uncle, and she's like, oh, that's so sweet. Do you think that'll happen with us? And then my uncle was like, hell no. Which I'm like, first of all, just say yes, bro. Like, just, my uncle be picking the weirdest times to be honest. Like, that's so odd. Just say yes. That's what people are looking for. Reassurance. Say yes. Is a clear answer. Is also, you know, just say yes. You know. But then they got in a fight. Because then she was like, why don't you think you would die if I died? And then he was like, look, if you died, I'd be sad. But if a week passed, I'm not gonna kill myself just to like stay in the timeline. And then she's like, well, why don't you love me enough to just die after I die? Like, she turned into like a real fight. And he was like, look, first of all, this conversation doesn't make any sense because I'm clearly gonna die before you, okay? I'm overweight, I got high blood pressure. So let me ask you this, are you willing to kill yourself in 8 years? Oh, that's a real thing that I'm noticed in my friends' relationships. I've even had it a couple times where there's a hypothetical at play that's never gonna happen, but it'll usually, I think in almost every case that I can think of, is like usually the girlfriend, where they're like, would you still love me if I was like a spy? If I was like a spy and I was on the run, you could only see me twice a year, would you still like love me or would you like move on? You know? And you're supposed to be like, yeah, I'd still love you, and we would make it work logistically, or, whatever. And it's like, I get it. I get, there's scenarios that pop in your head and you want reassurance from the person. Hey, would you still love me if this thing happened? But some of them are too crazy. Like, would you love me if I was like a ladybug? How is it gonna make me, Like, think about that. It makes me look bad if I say no. But then if I say yes, I look like I fucked ladybugs. Which is worse? Which one do you want to be in a relationship with less? I don't know. Dudes do plenty of like weird, annoying, dumb stuff. There's just not as many dudes doing that hypothetical thing, Like, I just don't know of a guy who's rolling over in the middle of the night like, babe, wake up. Wake up. Were you sleeping? Wake up. Do you have work tomorrow? Wake up. Wake up, babe. Wake up. Would you still love me if I, like, cheated? See what I mean? See how you're like, what am I supposed to say to this? Did y'all see the first dates list that's been going viral? It's like a list of first dates that people need to stop taking women on. Some of you have seen it. Okay, in case you haven't seen it, basically, there was this whole thing that I'm pretty sure was fake, that of this woman going to the Cheesecake Factory, and then she won't get out the car because it's a Cheesecake Factory. And so, I'm not gonna lie, whether the video is fake or real, the video did make me laugh in the beginning because the guy is driving her to the date. The date turns out to be Cheesecake Factory. Then he gets out to open the door for her, which I think went out in the 1890s, right? So then, clearly a better man than most, right? Gets out of the car, walks around, and there she locked the door. It's his car, locked the door, and then rolled down the window. Was like, I'm not going to Cheesecake Factory. And then he gets back in the car. And anyway, they decide, not to go on the date, whatever, right? But it sparked this whole thing. It sparked this whole debate on like if Cheesecake Factory was nice or whatever. So then the list came out of like places to stop, places women are done going on first dates at. And the list has 28 different things on it. And it is most places. So like, ladies, just admit you don't like us. Like that's, because half the list is very reasonable. Half the list, I was like, who is doing this, right? There are things on the list that are crazy. Because remember, the whole list, first date, right? So there's things on the list that should just never, church was one. I was like, you just springing church on people? You not even letting them get right before you pull up? Imagine you go on a first date, they want to surprise you, you get out and it's church. It's a surprise. Just sprung church on somebody. And you gotta be careful about people who spring church on you, because usually, it's a cult. Like, if y'all going to church on like a Thursday at 6, that's not regular church hours. That's not what we're doing at established churches. Some of the list was, I'm not gonna lie, I thought a lot of the list was very reasonable, Like church was one. Another one that blew my mind, the gym. You only do that if you try and make her your enemy. Like you just, let's go to a place that we could both use. It's insane. Towards the top of the list is Chili's and Chipotle, right? And I will say this, just from my experience, if you take a woman on first date to Chili's or Chipotle, ladies, if he's taking you on first date, Chili's or Chipotle, he is trying to give you the D, okay? And by D, I do mean diarrhea. Like that is absolutely chaotic. Chipotle, first date, you just want her with full of burrito. That's insane. Who raised you? Like, that's... No. Buffet was one. And buffet is super reasonable. That is reasonable. You taking a first date on a buffet? What are you trying to test her for? What's the plan here? It's like, you can't be with me unless you can clear 3 plates, okay? This is an audition, all right? We eat in this family. This is crazy. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff, whether it's reasonable or not, that was on the first date list, I have friends who were taken on all of those first dates. You know what I mean? So they are happening, you know? I had a friend, dude took her on a first date to a buffet, and then they get there and she's like, oh, okay, didn't know, but let's make the most of it. Brings the plate up, starts, you know, making her plate very responsible portions. She gets back. He comes back 3 minutes later. He got a whole pyramid of food. Like, it is crazy as he sits down and then he just starts pounding egg rolls. Like, just this man, like it's a contest, just nonstop. Egg roll, egg roll. Where you from? Egg roll, egg roll, egg roll, egg roll. What are your ambitions? Egg roll, egg roll, egg roll, egg roll. And then finally he choke, right? And this is a thing that I'm being serious for a second, outside the dating stuff, just as us, fellas, as men, we have got to start chewing, all right? Most of the choking in this country is us. Almost all of it is us. It's just men being happy and being like, oh, it's real good. Like that every day that's happening to us. That's nobody's fault but us. It's our mouth, all right? So just please, bro, chew. Please chew. I'm begging you. Too many men are dying unnecessarily of delicious food and not paying attention. And so then he start choking. She get up from the table, go around to his side, gives him the Heimlich. He spits the food out, sits down, and it's like, oh, can't believe that happened. Oh my God, thank you so much. You saved my life. I want to hear more about your job. I'm gonna get another plate. I'll be right back. Did you learn nothing? One of my favorites, though, that I do agree with, that's on the list, and I know some people are gonna come for me, but number 10 on the list is Wingstop. Now, if you're not from this country or you don't know what a Wingstop is, just know they don't have seating, okay? Like, almost none of it. If you're taking a woman to Wingstop, it's because she's a fugitive. It's like, baby, we got to get in and get out. I don't want you seen, you know what I mean? We on the run together. This was your scenario that you asked me if I would still love you, so. That's crazy. Because Buffalo Wild Wings is also on the list. But at least at Buffalo Wild Wings, the one caveat I have for it is if y'all are both into sports, you can watch the game and eat something in a booth. You can have a good time together. Wingstop just got 2 trash cans and some high-top tables. Because Wingstop don't want you to eat at Wingstop. Wingstop is like you order and you get the fuck out. I don't even want to look at you right now. Also, wings on a first date is chaos. That's a setup right there. You just want to make sure she's a hunter. What are you doing? No. I've had to delete some apps from my phone. My phone finally filled up. That's when you start making decisions. When you see that thing cannot be backed up on the cloud, you start being like, oof, do I need to know the weather? Like. And I had to delete the Citizen app. Yeah, no. If y'all don't have the Citizen app, I'm begging you, don't download it. All right. The Citizen app is insane. If you don't know what it is, it's an app that tells you what crimes are happening around you and in the city at large, which nobody needs to know. All right. The crime in New York is either happening to you or none of your business. Why would I get that app? Just to be the worst Batman ever? To try to stop crime on foot? Is that my plan? There's a robbery happening 6 blocks away. I get there out of breath. Don't do it. Oh. No. The only reason I even had the Citizen app is because I loved the headlines. Because people can self-report, you know? They can tell you what's happening near you. And sometimes the police are not even aware of it. Sometimes it really is people seeing the thing, uploading it to Citizen, then the police come and all gets official and stuff. My favorite one that I've ever seen, and I have lots. Like, honestly, if you come to see me, I will be talking about this every set. I have endless. But one of my favorites was man exposing himself at Popeyes. And I loved it because they said exposing. They use a present tense, which means the dick is still out. Like, the dick is currently at large. Yeah, I mean, they're like, he doing it right now. Please hurry. He's swinging everywhere. He getting on the chicken sandwiches. Please send somebody. No. Oh. Did I follow that okay? Did I do a good job? Y'all been great. I'm Josh Johnson. Have a good one.